Hello everyone, it's Dawn and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to our subscribers, whether you're a new subscriber, if you are, a particular welcome, and of course welcome to our long-term subscribers. And it's lovely to have you all with us. So today we're going to be continuing with our stash busting series, and we're going to be making a 6x6 card, and I'm just using up bits. I'm still using up bits that I've got laying around in my craft room. And I've found papers and elements and bits and pieces that I didn't even know I had. So that's what we're going to do. Once I had a sort out, I thought, hey, these papers are pretty. What can we do with those? So that's what we're going to do today. Now, these measurements I will be giving you are just a guide. You don't have to make a 6x6. You can make any size you like. In fact, you don't even have to make a card. You could make this design to put on the top of a box lid if you wanted to. So how you use this technique, or this style, for want of a better word, is up to you. So let's get on with it. So you will need, well, if you're making the same size as me, you will need a 6x6 card. If not, whatever size you want. Then I am using a mat which measures 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And incidentally, as usual, all of my measurements will be in the description below. Just hit the word more. It will drop down and you'll see everything you need. So I'm going to be using my craft glue for this. So I'll just pop some, oh, it's just up there. If I slide that across, then you can see what I'm doing throughout. That might be easier to do it. Now, will the glue come out? I haven't used this for a while. Okay. Right, plan B. The glue's not coming out. Now, if that does happen, I didn't know that wasn't going to happen. What you need to do is take a pair of scissors. There are two ways you can do it. You can either try and do it with a pin, or take a pair of scissors like that and just cut the very tip off, just the very top of the tip. Now we'll try again. And here it comes. So that's good. So I think what had happened, it's been so hot recently, and my craft desk is right by the window, and I think it had just dried up a bit. So it's coming out nicely now, so that's good news. So we're just going to spread some glue on there, and we're going to do this from scratch, all of it. So this doesn't really matter which way round it'll go, even if it's directional paper. I think it's supposed to go that way, but it doesn't really matter because you're not going to see much of it by the time we're finished. So again, if you use glue, you can use tape if you wish, but as we always say, if you use glue, you've got time to slide it into place. And I'm going to use another mat which measures 5 by 5 inches, and once again I'm going to use my craft glue, my creative craft glue. Now, if you are wondering what's going on with my own brand of glue, we've unfortunately hit a bit of a snag. The manufacturer who was making it has actually gone out of business. So I'm at the moment looking for another manufacturer. I have found a couple, but I need to check to see if they can make it to my specifications. So I'll keep you posted on that one. So sorry for the delay. And I'm going to lay that down like that, which incidentally is why I'm not using. I have still got some of my samples from the previous manufacturer, which I'm using when I'm crafting off camera, but not on camera because that wouldn't be fair to you. So I'll let you know as soon as I get any more information on that. So now we have a card and 2 mats. Now I've made a circle, but I haven't used my dies. I literally am using whatever I've got. What I did with this was a piece of paper. I actually found it in the bin, and I thought, oh, that's a nice paper. It was originally a script, and all I did to get the size, I will give you the sizes in a second, but all I did with this was I took a roll of partially used tape, double-sided tape, and I drew around the outside and I drew around the inside and cut it out. And that's, for this one, that's how I got my circle. So even if you haven't got dies, you can still do this project. And the measurements, if you want the measurements, the outer circle is 3.5 inch diameter and the inner circle is a 3 inch diameter. So there you go. So that's all the measurements you're going to need. And once again, I'm going to take my creative craft glue, run a bead of glue round the outside, or round the back, on the underside I should say, and pick it up if I can. That's what happens when you cut your fingernails. Can't pick anything up. And I'm going to lay that down. So far everything has been laid down flat with a little bit of glue. So this is where we add a little bit of dimension. And again, even if you make it this way, you don't have to use the dimension if you don't want to. Especially if you're posting it. If you want everything to stay flat and use glue throughout, that's absolutely fine. But just to give a bit of dimension, I'm at the next embellishments that I've cut out. I've put some foam, a little bit of foam tape, or foam pads actually. I've cut down some foam pads, of which I've got hundreds. And it's the same paper pack that I found in my drawer. And I've cut, these are backing papers or packing papers. And what I've done is I've cut out some of the flowers. What I was going to do, I've got 100 or so dies for flower making. I've been building up over the years. I must have about 100 in my drawer, and I will use them. But as these flowers were in the pack, I thought, well, I'll just, for this project, I'll cut them out. And again, I've got some foam pads that I've cut down on the back. And that's my biggest flower, so that one's going to go there. So I've got two reasonably large flowers, which I'm going to use as my base. And we're going to sort of make this up as we go along. There's no plan. There definitely is no plan. I'm going to put, actually no, I'm going to put that one there. If I see a little bit of the circle showing, that's absolutely fine. No, I know I've got some daisies somewhere. Oh, there we go. So we're just going to put this together in real time so that you can see how the composition, such as it is, builds up. Oops. And I've taken all the backing tape off, apart from that one. There's always one that escapes, just to make the video go a little quicker. So we're nearly done that, and I've got one more little flower, which I think I'm going to tuck. Where am I going to put that? Maybe there. Yeah, I'm not going to put any more on. I haven't got any more, but I could have picked up some more. But I think that'll do for the flowers. Now, what I have got in the same pack, I found this gorgeous little bee. So I'm going to stick him. What I've done with that, I've put some foam tape or foam pad on the back. And what I'm going to do is stick him down there so that that bit's raised and so the wings are in midair. So if we stick the bee down with a little bit of tape on the back, it leaves the wings free, so it looks like he's flying, which I rather like. And I like this sort of rugged little bear, or little wings I should say, the little body, I like that. Now, there are a few more bits and pieces to put on this card to finish it off. You could leave it like that if you wanted to, and you could just pop a sentiment across there if you want, but I'm going to go a little bit further. So I wanted a watering can, and I didn't have one, I didn't have a stamp, I didn't have a die, so I just went ahead and made one. I just drew a very simple shape, coloured it with metallic pencils, and cut it out. Very, very simple. So I'm going to decide, actually I want that a little bit higher up. Again, that's got some foam tape or foam pad on the back. And I'm going to put that, yeah, I think I'm going to put that about there. And the reason I wanted it tilting or at an angle is because in here I've got some little sequins. Well, they're sort of star sequins. And what we're going to do, again, this is where the fun comes in, because this is where you're likely to make a mess. But even if you do, it doesn't matter. Because, again, we're using our creative craft glue, and any of this type of flat glue is fine. And what I'm going to do, this won't show, so if you're thinking, oh, golly, that's going to look messy, it's not, because it will dry clear. And what we're going to do, we're going to spread our glue reasonably thickly, but then when we finish spreading our glue, what we're going to do is use the nozzle like this, and we're going to streak it so that it looks like it's pouring. So we'll just add some streaks there. Now I was looking for my pickup tool, but I can't find it, so I'm going to use my homemade pokey tool, which probably won't work, but we're going to give it a try. No, it won't work. Whoops, sorry. Well, I'm going to use my fingers then, which means I'm going to put my fingers in the glue and probably get messy, but that's half the fun of it, isn't it? So I've got some little stars, which I'm going to put in the glue. And what I am actually going to do is I'm going to use this old brush. This is an old brush. I don't use it for painting anymore. But I'm just going to flatten out the glue so that it doesn't look too blobby or too stark. But as I say, this will dry clear. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, what a mess. It does look a mess at the moment. You'd be right in thinking so, but it will dry clear. And it will dry quite shiny, so it'll look like, so the stars might even look a little bit like water, sparkly water. But that's not going to be dried by the end of the video, but that's okay. So all I'm going to do now I've got my glue base, I'm just going to pick up the stars, my little stars. You can use sequins, you can use self-adhesive embellishments if you want to, those little blingy bits. So those little bling, you can get the self-adhesive if you wish. You can use whatever you want to, or you don't have to do this part at all if you don't wish. So we're just going to stick that into the glue. Now this is still going to look a mess, a little bit of a mess, by the end of the video, but as I say, it will dry clear. So this is one of those times I can't really do much about it. So it's going to look like that until the glue is dry. And in this hot weather, because the sun is, although at the time of recording it's actually quite late, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but the sun is still pouring through the window. So I'm surprised I can still see my screen, because usually I can't when it's that bright. So we're just going to have those stars pouring down like that. And if you don't like the mess, as I say, you can use self-adhesive, or you could even put some little self-adhesive bits on the back of here if you wanted to. But that, I have to warn you, my friends, that is very fiddly. So, as this is, because now I've got glue all over my fingers. But never mind, we'll get there in the end. So I'm not going to put too many more on. I think I'll just put one there. And maybe, it's one of those things that is quite enjoyable, and you can think, oh, I'll just put one more, I'll just put one more. And before you know, you've got a card full, maybe slightly overloaded, of embellishments. But I'm just going to put, oops, no, I didn't want 2 more. I'm just going to put 1 more there to fill that gap. And as I do that, I pick another one off, because as I say, my fingers are still sticky. So there we go. There is our card with our stars pouring down. Now, I was going to try and wipe some of that glue off, but if I do that, I know I'm going to wipe the stars off. So we'll wipe some. It's already drying. It's so hot in here. The sun is glorious. Actually, do you know what? I know this is really fiddling, but I can see a gap, and I don't like gaps. So I'm just going to put that there. That's actually going quite tacky now, so I'm going to leave it there, and I'm not going to put any more on, so we can see I might even fiddle with it later, but as we're sitting here looking at it, you can actually see the glue drying, because it's so warm today. The sun is absolutely glorious, even at this late hour. And you can see the glue drying as we're chatting. Now, is that sitting down, or is it just me being, oh, no, I should have left it alone, and I will leave it alone now, she says. And it is really tempting to keep on fiddling, but the problem is I'm fiddling with it and the glue is drying, so it's coming off. So what I am actually going to do, because I did actually want a star in that corner, in that little spot there, so I'm just going to put another tiny spot of glue. I'm going to pop that down, and I'm going to leave it alone. So hands off now. So there you go. There is our Stash Buster 2 card. And I've used papers. Oh, there's another bit that's come off. Let's see if we can smuggle that in somewhere. Yeah, that'll do. So we've used some papers. I've used papers that has flowers on it, which I've cut out. I've made my own embellishments, and I've used these little stars, which I've had in my craft drawer forever. I've got these ones. I got these from the works, and I've got a pack of, or a jar of gold stars as well. And so there we go, all made from papers and stash, which I've had hanging around forever. Well, it seems like forever. So I hope you've enjoyed that one. I hope you've enjoyed watching the glue dry. It's a bit like, you know, watching paint dry, which isn't terribly interesting. Although sometimes it is, because as paint dries, you can see the colours changing. And with this glue, as it's drying, you can see it disappearing, so which is quite interesting. So we're not going to sit here and watch glue dry. So there we go. There is our Stash Busters 2 card. And when this is dry, I will take some photographs of it and put it up on our Facebook page and in our group. So there we go. That's it for today. Hope you've enjoyed it. I will be back. Sorry it's a day late going up, but as I said, I was away at the weekend and it was very late. It was very late when I got back Monday. Very enjoyable, but very late. So I'm sorry this is a day late going up, but we will be back on Friday now with our regular schedule, so to speak, and we will have another tutorial. But the next time we come back, we're not making a greetings card. We'll be making a papercraft product, but it won't be a greetings card. I'm not quite sure what it is yet. I've got a couple of ideas. So I've got an idea for a box with a different type of lid, shall we say, or a differently decorated lid. So I'll have a little think about that, and I'll be back on Friday, as I say, with a different project for you. So in the meantime, take care everybody, have fun, and as always, happy crafting. Bye bye for now.